Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Glendalough Double Barrel. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Glendalough Double Barrel. During March it's Irish Whisky Month on my channel and I'll be reviewing 4 Irish whiskies that have been picked by my followers. This particular whisky is a single grain whisky from the Glendalough distillery, and it dates back to 2011 and is regarded the first craft Irish whisky distillery. This particular whisky is made from malted barley and corn and is aged for 3.5 years in ex-bourbon barrels. It's then finished in Oloroso barrels for a further 6 months. It retails for around £35 in the UK, it's 42% ABV and it's non-chill filtered. Shall we find out what it tastes like? On to the whisky. So before I start nosing and tasting, let's have a quick look at the colour. I'd say that is like a copper, but potentially it has colouring as it doesn't say so on the bottle. Let's start with the nose. Right, so the first thing I get with this is dried fruits, obviously coming from the sherry. Yeah, definitely a sherry influence there. It's really noticeable. I'm getting like baking spices. There's a hint of ethanol in there. Obviously it is a grain whisky, so I'm normally prone to pick up ethanol from grain whiskies. And there's also a hint of biscuit as well, which is really nice. Let's move on to the palate. Yeah, so the first thing I get with this is sweet butterscotch. Really is nice. And there's also like a caramel note as well, which sort of then leads on to vanilla. It's sweet, but not too sweet. It's, for me, I probably prefer something ever so slightly sweeter because I do prefer sweeter whiskies. But yeah, this is a nice level of sweetness. Let's have another sip. Yeah, the ethanol sort of spirity note is coming through now on the palate. It is noticeable. I think with the sort of sherry influence, I think it's not as punchy as it might be otherwise. I think it has effectively softened that slightly, because I also get like a really nice sort of juicy raisin note as well, which is really pleasant. And yeah, that ethanol note, I suppose, as it dissipates, it sort of leads into a slightly dry wood note. Let's have one final sip. Yeah, so for 42% ABV, I would say this drink's probably slightly hotter than it appears to be. There is a hint of sort of chili pepper on the palate, but I don't mind that. I think a little bit of heat and a little bit of tingle is always welcome. And the fact that it drinks like a slightly higher ABV whiskey, sort of like 46, 48%, I don't think is a bad thing. There's a slightly oily texture on the palate, which is quite nice. That probably is down to the non-chilled filtered process. But yeah, it's not too bad at this stage. In terms of finish, I'd say it's like a medium length. There's some dry wood that does linger. There is some vanilla. There is that sort of ethanol spirity tang just sort of lingering ever so slightly. And there is a sort of hint of red fruits as well. In terms of value, well, as I said at the start, this is £35 in the UK. And obviously for a 4-year-old Irish whisky, single grain, made in a coffee still, finished in ex-Oloroso cask, I don't think that's too bad. But this is the sort of whisky that's still, you know, still on offer from time to time. It's not always at that retail price. I think I got this for about £27, and I think I've seen it reasonably often for 30. So I think around that sort of £30 mark, I think it's definitely worth a go. I think it's a good introduction to the brand, as I believe this is their sort of entry level whiskey. And as a distillery that is doing things differently, I think this is a nice introduction to the brand. They do have a Mizunara oak, and they even have Irish oak aged whiskies as well. So they are doing interesting things in the distillery. And obviously, being from Ireland, being one of the smaller guys, it's really great that this is available at lots of retailers, because a lot of Irish brands just don't make it to the top of the pile for people to spot and come across and discover, I suppose. So it's good to see this being, I suppose, reasonably popular. If you've tried this and you liked it, or maybe you didn't, then let me know in the comments. As always, really interested to hear your thoughts. And if there is a Glendalough you have tried that maybe isn't this one, also share in the comments. It really is interesting to hear your thoughts. Hopefully you found that interesting, and hopefully I'll see you next week for more Irish whiskey. Sauncher. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment? And please consider subscribing for more videos like this.